LMU Events Specialist, Events and Classroom Management.
Everywhere we go, everywhere we go. You're supposed to respond. Repeat after me. Everywhere we go,
everywhere we go,
people want to know, who we are, so we tell them, crazy eights. My passion in life is running. I run marathons. I love it. I was bitten back in 1989. I think was when I ran my first marathon. I've ran 30 marathons, not counting any of the half marathons that I completed. I started teaching other people how to run marathons. What I try to do is to make running fun. Yeah. I try to make you forget that you're running. I mean, when you're out there running 18, 20 miles, you start wanting to stop. But I'm out there 10, and they didn't do this. My cold pace leaders didn't do what I do. I would have a conversation with people. How's it going? How was your weekend? How was your weekend? Blah, blah, blah. You know, because I'm feeling the crowd. I'm feeling my group. I mean, I'm looking at you. I'm making sure that you're running properly. That's my job. I do it for free, but that's my job. And I'd start chanting, up in the morning, sun.
Up in the morning, sun.
We're blah, 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 blah. You know, I can't do it right now because I actually have to be in the situation. This is me out there. I branded our groups. Our groups had numbers, 1s, 5s, 2s, and I branded us and started calling us the Crazy Eights. And as a result, in having uniqueness in what we were doing, many groups tried to emulate what we were doing. I got recognized from my peers, other group leaders. I started out with the LA Marathon group. They're called the LA Road Runners, but there are other running groups in Los Angeles. One's called LA Leggers. I moved from the Road Runners to Leggers, which is a whole other community in Santa Monica. But we are all one community because the common denominator is that we all train for the LA Marathon. So as a group leader, I got recognized for the unique things I did as a pace leader. The Golden Shoe Award is from the LA Leggers. And it's basically leadership out there in the community. Oh yeah, that's what someone said. Because I asked someone on another project out here in LMU, why do you think that they're recognizing me for this award? And they said, well, Elmo, you're always out in the community. You're doing things. You're with the LA Marathon, right? And I said, okay, you work for Nike, right? Oh yeah? So I'm in the community just for fun, and these people are loving me. I was nominated to Nike's LA Best Award a while back. It's basically for people who make a difference in the community by inspiring others to be their best. And my name is thrown in the hat. I'm right there, Elmo Johnson. But it's given to people in the community that help others, but help them in a way that's somewhat unique because what we do, because we get recognized, because we are standouts. There was something unique about us that caused them to nominate us. So I was one of the nominees. I remarried in spring 2008. My wife's name is Louisa, and she's my angel. She inspires me every day, and I love her so very much. We have what's called a blended family, 3 boys and 1 girl. Our children are very close. My son's name is Andre, and my daughter's name is Nina. My 2 stepsons are Chris and Daniel. My wife and 3 of our 4 children are all LMU alumni. I'm in a place that's very interesting in my life right now. It's very interesting what's happening. For example, it's like totally unexpected. Totally unexpected, but it came at an interesting time because I'm going through something. We just attended a family reunion in Arkansas, which is where my mom is from. My kids never really got to meet my side of the family too much. We never got to experience that because growing up in South Central in the early 80s, that neighborhood wasn't really conducive for us to spend too much time and be known by anyone really. In my family, I'm the only one to graduate high school. Well, I did go to college. However, I grew up in one of the poorest neighborhoods in LA. I felt it was important for me to become employed and make money to support my young family. I got a notification through Facebook that my mother's side of the family was putting together a family reunion. It's in Arkansas. It's in the rural part of Arkansas. I had no expectation of what this was going to be, but I can tell you this, it's rural Arkansas. And it's slower than the city, to put it mildly. So long story short, I thought about it and said, you know what? This is an important time. Because my son, he's newly married. He has one child, and they recently announced that they're having twins on the way. So I'll be blessed with 2 more grandchildren, and my daughter is a school teacher, and she's committed to that. And our lives go in different directions, as you know. So our time is pretty well taken up by what's going on in our individual lives. And I thought to myself, once I asked them, will you be available on this date to go to a family reunion? I would love it if you could go, because the thought occurred to me, I should do this. I should make this happen. They've never met any of their cousins. Some of the people I haven't even met. It cost me a great amount of money, but I had it. I worked a side job, and I had a little extra cash stashed away for something. So sure enough, I looked at airlines, I looked at the hotel, I looked at the registration fee and all that, and the stars lined up for me. I was blessed. We had a great time. We just got back a week ago or so. My daughter was just going wild. Sitting on hay bales, looking at Angus cows, all of that. Riding on the 4-wheeler, I have pictures of that. The son loved it. Actually, he was excited about meeting his cousins because he started blowing up Facebook with, my dad is taking us to Arkansas to meet all of you. I never met you before. But they would email him back, who is this? And then they found out, oh, it's Elmo's son, because I'd been there twice before for funerals. But I didn't go back to Arkansas until I was in my 40s. I went for my aunt's funeral, and that was where I was able to meet a handful of my relatives there. So it was a blessing spending this one-on-one time with my 2 children. It was joyous. I can't even put into words that meant to me, what that meant to me in my life at this time.
Working under the radar, repairing justice, and rebuilding broken human relationships.
So, when I heard the sisters were recognizing me for this award, I called my immediate supervisor and I said, I'm excited, but I want to call and say no, not to do this. Because I don't think based on what I'm reading that this is about me. Because it says in the nomination that you're being recognized for reconciliation, and they are looking for people who are working under the radar to repair justice and rebuild human relationships. And I'm looking at that, I highlight that, and I say, I don't get it. And he said to me, Elmo, I'm glad you called me. Because if you had called me and said, oh yeah, I should have gotten this award, then I would have questioned it. But your reaction is exactly the way it was supposed to be. He said, I sit here smiling, knowing that you indeed deserve that award. And I thought, oh my gosh, okay, thank you. And I said, oh, when I get this notification, I was on my way to Spain and Portugal to walk as a pilgrim in the Camino del Santiago de Compostela. There is a professor here, Professor Hubert Medina, a math professor here at LMU. He goes on pilgrimage every year or every other year to Santiago de Compostela, which is the cathedral there. It's a Catholic religious tradition where pilgrims reenact what took place many years ago, where St. James the Apostle, spreading the good word of Jesus, was killed, and the pilgrims covered his body in shells, and they took it upon themselves to carry St. James the Apostle all the way from France and bury him. Every year, subsequently, pilgrims reenact the pilgrimage to Santiago. The Camino de Santiago is a spiritual journey that pilgrims of all faiths and backgrounds have traveled for years. It's a physical challenge. We walked for 175 miles over 11 days, all the way to Santiago, Spain. My wife, Luisa, encouraged me to go on the Camino de Santiago pilgrimage. 2 years prior, she walked the Camino, taking the route which begins in France and finishes in Santiago, Spain. When you're out there in a pilgrimage, though you start out with a group, there are periods where you're just alone because you don't walk at the same pace as the next person that's with you. So for 11 days, we were out there. So it gives you an opportunity to reflect on yourself. Now I'll get the chance to reflect and think on how to approach this. I haven't really done anything big. I'm not out feeding the homeless. I'm not out doing big things to bring people together. I don't know where there are examples immediately thinking where I've helped repair broken human relationships. But then when I start to dig, I use the term dig. When I start to reflect on what I've done, it was interesting. I found it quite interesting. And I thought, what? I'm all right.
Greatest victories in your life.
Receiving this award, because it's a humanitarian award of sorts. One thing I was gonna say is that the way I was looking for big things that caused me to be recognized, I overlooked some of the things that I'd done, like mentoring high school students, my midnight mission service, local community service outreach, and just connecting with people through my various LMU assignments. In my office at LMU, there are always students around because I like to talk to them, get to know them, give them my own personal life advice. So, on reflection on how I would be recognized, I found a quote from a mentor who I met here at LMU, Bishop Desmond Tutu, and I met him at Peach Jam, an event I managed here at LMU. It was a big accomplishment here at the university. We had 3,000 students come here to participate for that event, and 6 Nobel laureates, including Bishop Desmond Tutu. And I had never managed an event of that size before. It was huge. It was the most challenging event that I've managed so far in my event career. I walked away from it with a feeling of accomplishment because the feeling that I got back was all positive. The people were happy with the way we handled their event requirements, and when I say we, it wasn't just myself representing the university, but approximately 6 others were a part of the event staff that were represented by the Center for Service and Action. There were 6 or 7 members of that staff that made it happen. At Peach Jam, I met Desmond Tutu, and I was aware of him and his relationship to Nelson Mandela. And I made it known to him how much I appreciated his efforts for helping to end apartheid in South Africa. Desmond Tutu said something that brought it all home for me. Do your little bit of good where you are. That's me. I do my little bit. I don't feel like I do big things. But when I went back and reflected on this, I said, okay, now I feel comfortable accepting this award. Because that's what I do. A lot of little things. Because all those little things you do can have a big impression on the world.
Elmo Johnson.
I have so many people to thank, and I've already been told to keep it short. And anyone who knows me knows that brevity is not my strong suit. So I went from 10 pages down to just a few thank yous. But I didn't want to miss anyone. First of all, I want to thank the Lord Jesus Christ, who continues to bless me, and this is a case in point. I want to thank my mother, who obviously without her, I wouldn't be here. And what's in me is basically a reflection of my mom. And I continue to hold her, God rest her soul, close to me every day. My family, my sisters here, Freddie, my wife Louisa, and my beautiful and loving children, and my grandbaby is here today. Maya. She's up there. I want to thank the Center for Justice and Reconciliation and the Sisters of St. Joseph of Orange. Thank you so much I also want to thank the Department of Communication and Fine Arts, the entire nomination committee, the production company, wow, outstanding, and my body double. You nailed it. Thank you, Deshaun. Loyola Marymount University, of course. My family, my Elmo family, my family of friends, thank you for your love and for coming here today to share this extra special day. And I definitely want to give a shout out to Pam Rector and the Center for Service and Action. Thank you so much. Pam is one of my heroes and biggest supporters. Getting to know her inspired me to continue to do my best in my little bits. My running family, I thank them. My Camino family, I thank you. I thank you all for being here today. And again, thank you for letting me be me.